Welcome to the Sacred Knock Podcast, where the divine speaks and the heart listens. There's a knock, a sacred one. You may not hear it with your ears, but your soul knows it well. I'm your host, Coach Michael Taylor, and I'm inviting you into a sacred space of spiritual awakening, divine insight, and conversations that remind you of who you really are. So, open the door and let your soul receive the wisdom it's been waiting for. Welcome to the Sacred Knock Podcast. Hello and welcome to the Sacred Knock Podcast, where divine wisdom speaks and the heart listens. I'm your host, Coach Michael Taylor, and I'm truly honored to share this space with you today. There's one question I believe every human being must wrestle with at some point in their life. A question that cuts through the noise of the world and reaches into the very core of who we are. That question is, does God exist? Now, I know that can be a loaded question for a lot of people. It was for me, because once upon a time, I was an atheist. You see, I didn't just wake up one day and decide not to believe in God. There was a moment, a defining moment, when everything shifted. I was a young man with a deep curiosity about life and spirituality. And one day, I found myself sitting across from a Baptist minister full of questions. Not to challenge him, but to understand. And I asked him something simple, something that I genuinely wanted clarity on. What happens to people of other religions, like Buddhists, Hindus, or Muslims, who don't believe in Jesus? Are they going to hell? And without skipping a beat, he looked me dead in the eyes and said, yes, if they don't accept Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior, they're going to hell. And in that moment, something inside me shut down. Because even at that young age, even without any formal spiritual training or theological knowledge, I knew in my heart that something about that didn't feel right. The idea that billions of people would be condemned to eternal damnation simply because they were born into a different culture or religion, that didn't sound like a loving God to me. That sounded like control. That sounded like fear. And honestly, it broke my heart. So from that moment forward, I turned away. I didn't want anything to do with religion. I didn't want anything to do with God. I became an atheist. But here's the thing. Even when I stopped believing in God, God never stopped believing in me. That sacred knock never stopped knocking. And over time, life brought me full circle. Through pain, through searching, through awakening, and eventually into a relationship with the divine that has nothing to do with fear and everything to do with love. In that moment with the minister, it was the start of my journey, not the end. And now I'm here, sitting in this sacred space with you, launching this podcast, not as someone with all the answers, but as someone who finally found his answer. And now, I want to help you find yours. I didn't believe in God, I didn't trust religion, and I certainly didn't think there was any kind of higher power looking out for me. But life has a way of knocking on your door when you least expect it. And that knock led me on a journey. A deeply personal, often painful, but ultimately powerful journey to find my own truth about God. Not a truth handed down by institutions, not a truth packaged in dogma or fear, but a truth that came from within me through experience, exploration, and divine revelation. And that's why this podcast exists. The Sacred Knock Podcast isn't about preaching. It's not about convincing you to believe what I believe. And it's definitely not about me pretending to be some kind of guru or religious expert, because I'm not. I'm just an ordinary guy who knocked on the door of the universe and got a response. In this podcast, I'll be sharing my journey, my truth, and the insights I've received from developing a beautiful, intimate, and personal connection with what I call the divine. But this isn't just about me. this is a space for you. This is a podcast for the seekers, the skeptics, the curious, and the courageous. A place where you are welcome exactly as you are. Here, we're going to explore spirituality without fear. We're going to ask the big questions. We're going to review books that challenge and inspire. We're going to have conversations with thought leaders, spiritual teachers, and everyday people who've had extraordinary encounters with the sacred. And above all, we're going to create a safe, loving space. A space where you can hear your own sacred knock. Because I believe the divine is always speaking. Sometimes through silence, sometimes through people, sometimes through pain, and yes, sometimes through podcasts like this. So, if you've ever questioned whether there's more to this life, if you've ever wondered if God is real, if you've ever longed for a deeper connection to something greater than yourself, then, my friend, you didn't stumble here by accident. You were guided. You see, the knock is real, and this is your invitation to open the door. So, let's go on this journey together. Welcome to the Sacred Knock Podcast. And if this episode touched something in your spirit, be sure to subscribe, share, and leave a comment. And most importantly, stay open, stay curious, and stay sacred. Until next time, I'm Coach Michael Taylor, and I'll see you on the path. Take care. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Sacred Knock Podcast. We hope this episode has inspired you to listen more closely to the whispers of your soul. If this message moved you, why not share it with someone you love? Because you never know who's waiting to hear their own sacred knock. And if you'd like to dive deeper and download the free ebook, When God Knocks, 5 Divine Reminders to Reignite Your Soul, simply log on to www.knockknockbook.net to download your free gift today. Until next time, stay open, stay tuned in, and always remember, the divine is already within you.